document, and I think the rationale in view of what we're facing from a strictly operational standpoint, the way in which our job functions are different, and overall added increased cost to run vehicles, et cetera, which we all know the rate has been woefully inadequate for a long time. I think we should move down this path and make these adjustments, offset the added cost we're all experiencing, recognizing the issue that we don't have the same access issues in motor pool as others, and I think we should be putting this into the budget document. To be printed up as an amendment for inclusion in the document.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Dana, does this resolve the issue then for our intergovernmental relations person, especially during the session and those types of, and that's the only other person that you believe might be affected by that?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner, as part of his job duties, there's a boring. He has to be involved in some political events. If there's a fundraiser, my feeling is, you know, he is in a position where he has to go to a fundraiser, and then maybe he has to go to an AMC meeting. And technically, should he be using a county vehicle to go to a fundraiser? I think it's a gray enough where he would fit. And everybody, to the best of my knowledge, everybody else would have the option of using a pool vehicle or their own vehicle. You know, I use my own vehicle, but that's my choice.
We have a consensus here to move forward with this. We'll be able to put it into the budget document with an escalator.
We may, Mr. Chairman, I'm kind of looking at Don because I'm hoping Don can help with the calculations here quickly. The way that the structure, and you can tell me if this makes sense, would be just the average number of miles that you collectively drive for business purposes times the difference between the federal rate and the actual cost that I use as a benchmark vehicle, like a Ford Explorer. That would be the difference, and then you would inflate it because that would be, under IRS rules, considered taxable income, so you inflate it to include the tax that would be on that. I can't imagine it's going to be a huge amount of money, but I have no way to know. Don keeps his custody of the records, so that's why I'm looking at him to see if he can do that calculation.
Well, I can't do it. Can we do it quickly? Probably. We'll do it here today, or the last 12 months maybe, or something, you know. But the question is, Dana, if you're looking at all these officials, would you take the average of all 12 people here? Or 11, whatever it is? Because, you know, for example, I probably don't drive as many miles as these guys, as the commissioners. On the other hand, John probably drives more. I don't know about the sheriff. Sometimes he's driving a sheriff's vehicle many times.
Yeah.
So,
Mr. Chairman, my thought was use you as the average. But you can use, the idea is to get compensation, to pay back the implicit subsidy that you end up giving to the county for use of your own vehicle.
Don may have some difficulties coming up with an average for commissioners. I haven't turned in an expense report for 6 months. So,
We'll get a 5-year average back.
I will try to get those in. Okay.
I can't do it quick then, Dana.
Okay.
That's going to get better.
Mr. Chairman, I should mention that the IRS is really frowning a lot more strongly on delays and expense payments.
And they should come up here and find me some more hours to fill them out, okay? And if they can find me some more hours in a day, I'd be more than happy to fill them out.
That excuse will carry water with it.
I
You know that.
understand.
Just got to make it a priority, Mike.
And I can be supportive of this. I mean, you know, I think that, I mean, it's probably common knowledge to most people that I generally come out on vehicle expense reimbursements, but at the same time, you know, I'm not driving a really fancy car, although right here, I have a slip here on a car I plan on buying here, a brand new one, so I might have to take it, I might need this, you know, but the bottom line is, I absolutely agree with the thinking that there is the cost of owning a car, the cost of the insurance, all of those things are much higher than the 48.5 cents. I mean, if I was driving my wife's truck, it's a S10 four-wheel drive, if I was driving that, I couldn't afford, I mean, I would not make it at 48.5 cents a mile. There's no way, not with the mileage it gets, and not with the insurance that's on it, and certainly not with the upkeep that is on a relatively new four-wheel drive truck. And I think that in all fairness to everyone that drives, we do have, it costs us a lot more to drive in northern Minnesota than it does in California, in any other place probably in the nation there. And the other thing is, when you're in Minnesota and you have a governor that doesn't fund transportation, our potholes and everything else that you have, I mean, we're looking at tremendous costs in repairs on our cars and suspensions and all those other things that we're doing. I mean, you know, so, I mean, it's not like being in any other of the 47 states, lower 48 states, you know, so, yeah, I mean, we, in this state here, when you're driving on the roads that we drive on, you have very costly things there, so. Again, I'm just practicing for the next board meeting here, just so everyone knows this.
Bill's next.
And have you heard any objections or input one way or another from the elected officials, Melanie or us? Don is here.
Yeah. Mr. Chairman, I have run this back, I've communicated back and forth with the attorney on this. I sent her this last version, want to make sure that, so all of this, and also Don got a copy of it, just to make sure that it's all perfectly legal and clear. But I haven't had any feedback. You can probably get some right away if you look to your left. But
Go ahead, Don.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I guess I still see myself a little different than the other two elected officials. As I said, Ross many times is driving a county car, a county vehicle, his duties and responsibilities. I understand. I think Melanie, for the most part, is driving a car, as did our former county attorney, and she's got that reimbursement plan where she reimburses based on utilization of that vehicle, etc. And so we've got a contract set up with her on that. So I guess I'm a little different than the rest of them. At the same time, I don't know, would this be optional then, Dana, if we wanted to get the mileage? Because, or if we put this through, I mean, are we bound, all of us bound to do that same method? Because I look at myself, and even though I don't drive as many miles as most of the commissioners, just because of the nature of I've got to be in my office running a department every day. So I don't think I put as many miles on. The other thing about it is, do I get reimbursed a little differently than the commissioners who, just by the nature of my position and the work and the fact that I am running a department. So, you know, maybe, for me, maybe I would just as soon just take the reimbursement just to avoid all the other tax implications and modifications, et cetera, income adjustment, et cetera. I don't have a strong feeling one way or the other. Whatever works out, if I have to go along with it because it works out better for the commissioners in terms of them being reimbursed fairly, then I would do that.
Okay, Steve.
Well, I think before I could agree, I want to know what it's going to cost. So you're saying you could come up with that, but not today.
Can't come up with it for a few days, maybe, depending on, we need to have accurate and total information.
And then secondly, I mean, I would say, in some ways I would agree with Dan. I would want to be able to opt out of this. I don't know that this is something, you know, I use county cars regularly. I use with the county. I believe And, I live in Duluth, I can take the bus to work, I can walk to work, I can ride my bike, so it's